What made you so special? Nothing. I'm just a kid from Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn!
Were you scared of that? No, not at all, huh?
No, I'm from Brooklyn.
You're from Brooklyn, huh?
I just wanna rap.
Okay guys, Frank Style, just a guy from Brooklyn, and with the newly released Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, I figured this would be the perfect time to rank the entire franchise. Apes is as sci-fi as it gets, and the movies go from groundbreaking to just downright weird. They go as far back as the late 60s, so this is definitely one of your older franchises, right up there with franchises like James Bond, and it's still going strong. So I'm here to celebrate it because I grew up watching these movies. But as always, we gotta cover my rules before we can just jump in. Rule number 1, with the exception of the new movie, I'm gonna give a hard spoiler warning as these movies are pretty old. Rule number 2, as always, this is a favorites list, not a best list. So the best way that you can converse with me about my list is to show me yours in the comments section. Kicking things off at number 10, we have Battle for the Planet of the Apes. Came out in 1973. Uneventful, uninspiring, cheap looking, and totally forgettable. There was some controversy over the ending of the previous installment, which I believe forged this movie into what it became. Ironically, you could say 2014's Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is a remake of this very story, as we get a post-apocalyptic world where Caesar, leader of the apes, battles Aldo, a gorilla who craves war with the humans. You've also got a faction of mutant humans looking to mix it up as well. Where other installments went really dark, really zany, or really weird, this goes for a boring kumbaya happy ending nobody wanted or cares about. Coming in at number 9 is Beneath the Planet of the Apes. Came out in 1970. This direct sequel to the original is weird and all over the place, with a second surviving astronaut named Brent searching for Taylor, and he lands and goes through all the same beats that Taylor did. And he kind of looks like Taylor, which I can still remember when one of the movies was on TV. You'd have to take a minute or two to figure it out. You almost feel like you're watching the same movie until he catches up to Taylor in the Forbidden Zone, which keeps showing you that it's post-nuclear Manhattan, like we didn't already know from the famous ending in the first film. The war-hungry gorilla troops are also headed there as they hope to replenish their food supply. And shit gets downright weird, as the area is inhabited by a cult of surviving humans who've developed telepathic abilities and literally worship a bomb.
A bomb?
No, not a bomb.
After some mind games, they use their powers to have Brent fight Taylor in Spock versus Kirk fashion.
The name is Spock. If we don't battle to the death, they will kill us both.
There's also a memorable moment where the humans reveal their true faces, and this movie really is all about the big social issue of the nuclear threat of that time. Well, that and forcing tall blonde men to fight each other, which is fundamentally unjust the way I see it. Coming in at number 8 is The Planet of the Apes, the Tim Burton Remake. Came out in 2001. I can still remember going to the Tim Burton exhibit at the MoMA, where you saw hundreds of pieces of artwork, including costumes for Batman, Edward Scissorhands, Sleepy Hollow, and Beetlejuice. And that's just the thing. You can see Burton's fingerprints all over these movies. But for some reason, this remake is missing that signature style. But here's the rub. Even if it did, the movie would still be bad. It's so bad, it kind of killed the franchise for a while. And you know what? It's a guilty pleasure of mine in the vein of Batman and Robin and Jaws the Revenge. At this time, they were trying to prop up Mark Wahlberg to be an action star. Luckily, he eventually found his calling in comedy. There's some good star power here with Tim Roth, Helena Bonham Carter, Michael Clark Duncan, but the true standout here is Paul Giamatti, who steals every scene. Wahlberg plays astronaut Leo Davidson, who whips through time and space to a world where apes rule the humans. Captured, he is nurtured by Ari and hunted by General Thade as he leads a rebel group of humans and apes in search of his downed craft. The most notable change is that the humans talk and are intelligent. They're just overpowered by the apes. The twist at the end is extremely clever, and the ending is so preposterous. Right there on the spot, you just can't take this movie seriously. Coming in at number 7 is Escape from the Planet of the Apes, came out in 1971. This wacky 70s time travel movie flips everything on its head, with Cornelius and Zira escaping the destruction of the Earth by using one of the spaceships to go back in time. This literally is the reverse situation of the first movie, with a planet of humans discovering apes that are intelligent and can talk. It's also a great trip to the 70s for audiences now, as you get to see the look and trends of the time. And with the flick of the switch, the movie goes from very positive and fun, with the apes being celebrities of sorts.
Does the other one talk?
Only when she lets me.
Very dark and disturbing, with the government discovering what happens in the future, and Zira being pregnant, a possible catalyst for an eventual apes takeover. Would you kill an innocent baby chimpanzee to preserve your race? With the help of some new friends, Cornelius and Zira escape and are on the run, and it only gets darker from there, with an ending that's bloody and really tough to watch. Coming in at number 6 is The Planet of the Apes, came out in 1968. Yes, the movie that started it all. Stars Charlton Heston, Roddy McDowall, Kim Hunter, and Linda Harrison. Headlined this science fiction classic about an astronaut crew that crash lands on a strange planet in the distant future. Although the planet appears desolate at first, the surviving crew members stumble upon a society of damn dirty apes with human-like intelligence and speech. The apes are the dominant species and humans are mute. I've always found it to be a little slow-paced with weird moments, like when Taylor laughs like a mustache-twirling villain. But the movie does get going in the middle act, and it's a pretty wild ride. The big twist ending where Taylor finds a wrecked Statue of Liberty, revealing that Taylor was on Earth all along, is one of the greatest moments in cinema history. And to say that the movie was a hit would be a huge understatement. Yes, it would go on to spawn a franchise with sequels and remakes, but at that time, its popularity branched into everything from comics, lunchboxes, a very popular TV series, a cartoon run that looked pretty good for its time, and a toy line that I can still remember being displayed at the big department stores. I can still remember after my daughter watched Rise of the Planet of the Apes, I tried to get her to watch the original. The second she saw the apes, she turned to me and said, "They're wearing masks, Dad," and had no interest continuing. What can I say? It's something about the era. You have to have a certain suspension of disbelief, and I hope that she gives it a shot one day. It's a historically significant film that has my respect. Coming in at number 5 is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, just released, yes, the new one, and since I've only seen it once, it has the potential to either rise or drop in this ranking in the future. Set 300 years after War for the Planet of the Apes, we have a new story with all new characters to follow. Truly uncharted waters for the franchise. You follow Noah, a young ape who wants to free his clan from Ape King Proximus Caesar, the leader of a group of masked apes who look to assimilate ape clans by force for power. With the aid of a mysterious human girl named May and an orangutan named Raka, they journey to free Noah's clan. While I don't feel it's as powerful as the Caesar trilogy, it's a beautiful movie with exciting new ideas never thought of for an apes movie. Although Caesar has been dead for 300 years, he is everywhere in this film. He's legend, messiah, and gospel for the apes that remember him. And like all religions, their words can be misinterpreted and distorted for personal gain. The movie is full of adventure and intrigue. It also has some convenient happenings in the third act where prisoners of the kingdom who would otherwise be closely watched have the freedom to plot a coup with all the tools and knowledge and even frickin' explosives to pull it off. I'm just not buying any of that bread. It also has an ending that has piqued my curiosity and also has me a little nervous. I did a full review last week, so if you want my deeper thoughts, go check it out. Coming in at number 4 is Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. Came out in 1972. More of a rebellion film than the rest, and obviously what the new trilogy is based on. But it's fascinating how both stories get to the same destination, but for completely different reasons. As Caesar, the child of Cornelius and Zira, is kept hidden in a circus, a mysterious sickness kills all cats and dogs, leaving a big hole in humans' hearts. When searching for an alternative for pets, humans are blown away at how intelligent and helpful apes are at performing tasks. So very quickly, apes are conditioned and trained for basically slavery in the new world. Risking discovery, Caesar mixes in with the apes, but once he sees all the injustices, he secretly plots rebellion.
Caesar. A king.
Meanwhile, his existence is discovered and he's running out of time. This is also a tale of two movies, as when released, the ending where Caesar says a big speech in triumph,
out of which I will lead my people from their captivity, and we shall build our own cities in which there will be no place for humans except to serve our ends. And we shall found our own armies, our own religion, our own dynasty.
Was deemed too far by audiences of that time. So some of the more bloody scenes were cut down, and the ending was altered, toning down the violence, and the speech was completely changed to be less dark. I cannot stress this enough. The original uncut version is the only one you should seek out, as it is available now. Coming in at number 3 is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Came out in 2014. After the simian flu decimated the planet, Caesar and his colony of apes have settled down in the woods, wanting nothing but to be left alone. But some surviving humans, desperate to restore power to their town, go into ape territory, hoping to get permission from Caesar to work on the power problem. While Caesar has a soft spot for humans, having been raised by one, Koba, scarred by human cruelty, craves war, feeling the apes have the strength and the numbers. With mistakes and misunderstandings from both sides, Caesar soon learns the hard way that apes are just as capable of treachery, and war becomes inevitable. The dynamic between Caesar and Koba is at the heart of the movie. Caesar could have easily gone that same path. Koba isn't evil, and that's what makes a villain great. He has his reasons, he has a purpose, he's a master manipulator, and a clever opportunist. He's also fearless and knows how to play the fool to take advantage of the situation. I love how the movie keeps the focus on the apes. As important as the human characters are, they always feel like they're off in the distance. This isn't their story. Coming in at number 2 is Rise of the Planet of the Apes. came out in 2011.
When you expect nothing and you get everything, that's destiny.
After the disappointment of the Tim Burton remake, no one was even hoping for another Ape movie. But this was a breath of fresh air that brought back the franchise from life support, as the ape origins are retold in a more grounded and realistic story. James Franco plays Will Rodman, a scientist in San Francisco who's experimenting with a drug that he hopes will cure his father's Alzheimer's. After his work is decreed a failure, William becomes guardian to Caesar, an infant chimp who was exposed in utero to Will's drug. Caesar displays unusual intelligence, and Will decides to continue his experiments secretly. But as Caesar's intellect and abilities grow, he learns how his gifts came to be, and he takes command. Audiences were amazed at the visual ape effects with the performance of Andy Serkis, famous for his depiction of Gollum in the Lord of the Rings movies. Caesar's beginnings are very sad, as he's locked up in a sanctuary with Will desperate to free him. Will's father, played by acting legend John Lithgow, also brings you to tears as he struggles through Alzheimer's, something I know all too well with both my mother and grandmother suffering through it in their later years. The battle on the Golden Gate Bridge is absolutely glorious, as Caesar is hell-bent on reaching the Redwoods, while Rodman's drug has some unexpected side effects.
That guy from Brooklyn's my favorite.
And my number one Planet of the Apes movie is War for the Planet of the Apes, came out in 2017. A slightly deceptive title, as it's not the actual war, but more of a skirmish or two between Caesar's colony and a ruthless colonel played by Woody Harrelson. After the colonel kills Caesar's wife and one of his sons, Caesar is consumed by vengeance, so he sends his colony to a safe destination while he and a few apes search for the colonel. This movie is all about Caesar as he faces his biggest challenge yet, as the colonel captures most of the apes, including Caesar, whom the colonel confides that the simian flu has mutated and its new strain leaves humans mute and simple-minded. The colonel is also working the apes in preparation for something, and Caesar is made an example of. But what truly makes this movie special is some newcomers. Amaya Miller plays little girl Nova, an obvious Easter egg from the original '68 movie. Her scenes just make your heart melt.
You broke my heart. It's okay.
Steve Zahn plays Bad Ape, who totally steals the show with his adorable antics.
Oh no! Why so small?
Somehow Caesar must turn all these insurmountable odds to his favor to lead his people to the promised land. Well, guys, that wraps things up. Look, I think that these movies are just fantastic. The older movies give you that kind of strange, weird sci-fi, gives you some of the 60s, gives you some of the 70s, and it also goes really dark with movies like Escape and Conquest. And the new Caesar trilogy is just something so special. I find all three movies to be completely flawless. I find their effects to be gorgeous, and this new movie has some true promise, and I hope it goes in directions that lead to a reimagining of the '68 movie one day. So guys, from the BK, from the city that never sleeps,
See my face in lights, on
peace.
my name on marquees found down on Broadway. Even if it ain't all it seems, I got a pocket full of dreams, baby. I'm from New York, concrete jungle where dreams are